not gonna work. Hello. Where's my this is an ad. All right, let's see if that works. Hello, can you see me? Can you hear me? Hello, hello. What's up, everyone? Can you see me and hear me? Trying something different here. Don't know if it's gonna work. What's up, Ryan? What's up, Kaylee? I think we discussed that I pronounced the name wrong, but I forgot the correct pronunciation. Tip Top, Twirling Haze, what's up? Make this bigger. Sam, thank you for the $2. All right, we're gonna start walking. Can you hear me? Is the mic loud enough here? Is the music too loud? Wait, we don't need to pause this anymore. Gotta kick it off. And we're off. There is, I have a treadmill, if that wasn't obvious. Let me know if the mic is not like super close to my mouth, so let me know if I am audible. I might be too fast. Actually, I might need to move this up a little bit. Hold on. Yep. Background music is high. Electric Lomain, thank you for the $1.99. Can you run a mile under 5 minutes? Probably not. My stamina is not very good. That's what happens when you get old. Volume is low. Hello. That's probably a little better. We'll see. Like I said, I've never tried to set up like this before. This is not normally where the mic would be because I'm usually sitting down. And I don't know if it is stable up this high, but we'll see. I may be like too out of breath to even talk. We'll see. I've never tried it before. So in my experience, it takes about, depending on how fast I'm walking, it takes about 2 hours to get 10,000 steps. So we'll see. Getting winded. I mean, not winded, but definitely, you know, breathing a little heavier than normal. Imagine trying to read Superchats doing a run. That sounds taxing. Maybe. I'm not, definitely not gonna run though. I'm just gonna walk. We finally got Hill Cena. Did I ever think that was a possibility? I did not expect that, but in retrospect, it makes perfect sense. He's retiring. Of course, he's gonna try to do something crazy. And honestly, it makes perfect sense because it would be kind of unsatisfying for him to just main event WrestleMania like, you know, like his business as usual. He has to mix it up a little bit, right? Electro main, thank you for the 199. Who's better, Voltron or Power Rangers? I actually don't know a lot about Voltron. I've never seen Voltron before. I think maybe Voltron was a little bit before my time. I'm not sure, like 80s maybe. While Power Rangers was 90s, which was like my prime. I've estimated how long this would take. Probably like 2 hours. 2.5 hours. It depends though. Because I think usually when I'm doing this on my own, well, I don't think, I know, I usually walk at a faster pace, but I think that would just make it hard for me to talk. So it could take longer, but like I'm on a treadmill and you can like set the speed or whatever. And if I'm going, like 3 miles an hour, I can get 10,000 steps in like 90 minutes or something. But I think I'm going like 2.4 or something right now. Maybe not even that, probably less than that. Do I watch any currently airing TV shows? Nope. The only recent shows that I watch are the Marvel shows whenever they come out. I usually watch those as they air. Outside of that, I don't really watch TV. Outside of like watching reruns of shows I like or reruns of shows that I'm doing a video about. I'm guessing about 2 hours, 14 minutes at my current pace. Yeah, that sounds about right. Usually what I do, well, not usually, but sometimes what I do is I just walk and then like listen to a podcast. And by the time you get done with like 2 episodes, you got 10,000 steps. Don't watch the counter. Yeah. But hey, I mean, we've already got 500. 600. This is casual walking and convo. No one speed walks and talks. Yeah. Maybe at the like final stretch, I'll like pick up the speed just to get it over with. Favorite John Cena acting role that I have seen. I haven't seen a lot of stuff that he's been in, honestly. Peacemaker is pretty cool, but I haven't really seen a lot. But he's a pretty good actor as far as I can tell. I can't think of something I've seen that was just bad. Have I been reading anything? I kind of been slacking off on my reading. I have been reading this book called Creativity Inc. It's written by one of the creators of Pixar. It's just talking about what it's like to run Pixar. It's a cool book, but I've kind of been reading it for like 6 months now, just here and there. But yeah, I need to get back into reading. I read a bunch of books last year, but since the new year has come around, I've kind of slacked off on it. Another thing I'm worried about is, you know, since I'm burning up a little bit of a sweat here, not like a huge sweat, but it's going to get hot in here. And I have a ceiling fan you can kind of see behind me. However, as you can probably tell, it's a little bit close to my head. Like, it's not like my head is gonna touch it, but like if I accidentally like throw my arms back or something, that could be a problem. Incline or flat? No, it's flat. Spots or stripes? I guess spots. Another weird thing is that the screen is low, so I'm like looking down. Should probably look at the camera a little more to make the stream more engaging. But I have to look down to read the comments. I've recently been playing Guitar Hero while on the treadmill. Hard but a fun challenge. Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's all about finding something to do while walking, just to make the time go by. I do got to give a shout out to my best friend who bought me this telescoping, obviously you can't see it, but it's like this telescoping camera stand, which is what I'm using right now to hold the camera up this high. Got it for me for my birthday last year, and I haven't really used it until now, so that's cool. Feel like this microphone doesn't want to stand up, but we'll see. Late night workout? Yeah. Honestly, I was gonna do this earlier, but I was like, what if I streamed it? That might be interesting. So I just waited till now. Normally I do it like first thing when I wake up. Electric Low Main, thank you for the $9.99. How is Reed Richards the smartest in the MCU? Wouldn't you think Ultron is smarter? Who do you think are the top 5 smartest in Marvel Comics, in your opinion? I mean, Reed Richards hasn't really been properly introduced in the MCU, so we don't really know if he's the smartest in the MCU. And I don't know if he was ever supposed to be like the smartest person in the world. Maybe like the smartest human on Earth. You know, because like in Marvel, there's multiple universes, multiple planets with all kind of stuff going on. So I don't know. But in the MCU, as we know it so far, you've got obviously Tony Stark, right? You've got Shuri. And we've like kind of been introduced to Reed Richards, but not really. Although they did, there's a Fantastic Four trailer now, which is cool. An underrated genius is Rocket Raccoon. As far as the MCU goes, he's definitely one of the smartest people in the MCU. I guess there's Banner / Hulk. If you just mean comics in general, not just MCU, I mean you can get all kind of stuff going on. All kind of different characters. You could argue that Hank Pym is up there. Do you speak a second language? No. I know a decent amount of Spanish, but if you drop me in a Spanish-speaking country, I probably would not be able to get by. I don't know enough. I guess Ultron is considered highly intelligent, but does that count? I feel like that's not fair because he can just download all the information off the internet. Like he didn't. I don't know if he has like the same level of critical thinking, problem solving skills as like a. I was gonna say sentient, but I guess Ultron is sentient, right? Yeah, Beast is really smart. Just got home from the theater seeing Anora. Have you seen it? I have not. Thoughts on it killing the Oscar? I don't know anything about that. That's something I want to do this year, is watch more movies. I don't really watch movies a lot. How much distance are you on yet? Please don't answer in miles. How should I answer? Kilometers? I am at a little over 1,360 steps. I don't know how to convert to kilometers. T'Challa's genius? Possibly. I mean, he's clearly a smart guy. I don't know if he's on the same level as Shuri or Iron Man. Am I still in Alabama? I am. Yes. Doctor Doom is, yeah, would be up there probably. I feel like there's a lot of scientist characters. Even Spider-Man is supposed to be a genius, right? Hey, I watch your YouTube shorts all the time, and they're interesting. I don't think I understand the comment. See, I'm already starting to sweat. That's partially because it's just hot in here. In South America, we use kilometers. Yeah, I don't know how to do the conversion. Oh, I just shocked myself. I know a kilometer is what? Or there are 2.2 kilometers in a mile. Is that right? Or is it the other way around? I think that's right. I'm a little under 1 mile, 0.7 miles. Unrelated, but thanks for the reminder to catch up on my steps of the day. Well, you're welcome. It's good to stay active, especially for someone like me who literally sits at a computer pretty much all day. I've got to make sure to force myself to actually get off my ass at some point. But we're already at 1600. It goes by quickly if you don't sit there and watch it. Here's the challenge named 5 dumbest heroes. Rhino and Juggernaut. Yeah, Rhino probably. Is Juggernaut like dumb? I guess sometimes he's portrayed as dumb. Give myself a standing desk so I can walk while working. Yeah. I don't know if I could like walk while working though. I need it to be like a passive activity, like watching something or listening to something or reading maybe. Working, I feel like it's too much like energy being expended like both physically and mentally. It took me a minute to even figure out how to set this up because I had to figure out a way to get the stream to display the step counter that's on my phone, which is not as straightforward as you might think it would be. And we'll see if it works for the entire stream. I guess streaming is considered part of the work, but it's not the most mentally demanding activity. At least it doesn't have to be. I'm trying to remember to look at the camera more because I think it's a little bit unengaging for me to be looking down the whole time. There's an exercise scientist that plays video games while being on the treadmill. Yeah. For me, like, I have no excuse because, like I said, I sit at a computer all day, and a lot of that time is just spent watching YouTube and watching internet videos. And that is definitely something that I could do while walking on the treadmill. So it would be kind of silly of me to just never do it. The step counter is quite hypnotic. Electric Lomain, thank you for the $4.99. I'm out to enjoy. Have some chicken fingers on me and Diet Dr. Pepper. Appreciate it. I actually had some chicken fingers yesterday. And Diet Dr. Pepper. Or to be more specific, 0-calorie cream soda Dr. Pepper. Speaking of dumb strong guys, I was pleasantly surprised how much I liked the new Captain America movie. It was like a thriller that just happened to star Marvel characters. Yeah, I enjoyed it too for the most part. I was a little bit hesitant because it did get mixed reviews. But I'm starting to ignore the reviews for Marvel movies because I often don't agree with them. But I will say, I feel like the movie kind of petered out, like the ending was a little weak. But pretty much the entire movie, I I was like all in. I enjoyed it a lot. Am I doing 10K steps a day? Not every single day, but I'm trying to do it as often as possible. I've done it like 80% of the days of the last month. I just bought this treadmill maybe like a couple months ago, so that made it a lot easier to get 10K steps. I used to like, I try to walk a little bit every day, but I never used to actually get the full 10K. You know, I'd like walk and like listen to a podcast and maybe get like 3K, 4K, 5K, which is better than nothing. But getting that, I don't know, it feels good to get that 10K. Oh, and when we get it, it plays a little animation on the counter, which is also, you know, a little hit of dopamine. Any recommendations for TV shows to watch when you feel stressed and need to watch something fun or comforting? Well, I was gonna say Boy Meets World, but that show gets really intense in the later seasons. So like Boy Meets World season 2 and 3, maybe. I feel like a lot of those cheesy sitcoms are a good choice. What are some good examples? Schitt's Creek. I feel like Schitt's Creek is a very heartwarming show for the most part. Yeah, the Michael Schur shows, Parks and Rec, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, those are good. The Office as well. Although The Office is like, I guess it depends on if you're into that kind of comedy. It's that sort of cringe comedy. But yeah, definitely Parks and Rec, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Also cartoons, just like in general. But for me, my comfort show is Boy Meets World. I can just watch that whenever. And I guess Parks and Recreation. But I just think that's like it's like more than a comfort show. It's just like an excellent show. Like Boy Meets World is a good show, but I fully acknowledge it's not perfect. There's a lot of bad episodes. There's a lot of episodes that don't make any sense, but it's just comforting for me. So that's why I call it my comfort show. But Parks and Rec is just a good show across the board. So I can recommend it for that reason. Should try Sprite Zero. It's actually pretty good. Yeah, I've had Sprite Zero. It's fine. I've never been a big Sprite person. Like, it's fine, it's good, but I'm just always like, the cola tastes better, I guess. Strawberries and cream Dr. Pepper Zero. Yeah, that one's pretty good too. Sitting is the new smoking. Yeah, there is evidence that excessive sitting is very bad for you, which is pretty interesting. The Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon are good too. Yeah, I think those. Yeah, those are. In terms of just like fun, feel good shows, I think those are good. A lot of people don't like The Big Bang Theory though. A lot of intellectuals don't like The Big Bang Theory. They don't think it's funny. But if you're a easily amused normie like myself, it's very easy to enjoy. And Young Sheldon is even better. I think Young Sheldon is like legitimately a good show. I find myself defending The Big Bang Theory way more than I thought I would. Same. I think there are some shows that it just became hip to hate on just because they're so popular. I think Friends is another one. It's like not cool to like Friends anymore. And The Big Bang Theory just kind of became this like runaway hit, and it was everywhere. Like literally it was like the #1 show for like 10 years. And I think people just got tired of hearing about it. And so the hateration begins. This is kind of how humans are. If something gets sufficiently popular, people will start hating on it. Not to say that there aren't legitimate gripes with the show. It's not like the best show ever made, but it's fine. It's just as good as anything else. I always felt like vapes were the new cigs. Friends is the best show for us normies. I mean, it could be just, maybe it's just the people I hang out with, but I feel like everybody's always talking shit about Friends. I've also seen a lot of people that talk shit about The Office. Not quite as much as Friends, but The Office, there's a lot of Office haters as well. I mean, if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. Not every show is everybody's thing, but there's like some strong hateration going on for a lot of these shows. Like people need you to know how much they dislike these shows. Friends holds up. Yeah, I think I still love Friends. I've watched it recently. I think it's funny. I think it's sweet. Has great characters. Same thing with Big Bang Theory. There's some actually like touching moments. Okay, my screen turned off. Let's fix that. My phone does not have an option. Whoops. My phone doesn't have an option to where I can leave the screen on forever, which is weird. I can only do it if it's charging, which it is not currently. UK got good shows too. I recently started Motherland. Yeah, I don't know that much about UK shows, but they do have some good shows. Friends is a product of its time, but what the fuck isn't? That's true. I know a lot of people just, especially younger people, don't really like, or at least don't prefer laugh tracks, which I kind of understand. So there's kind of a bias that some people have against shows that have laugh tracks. But I talked about this last time I streamed. It's just kind of like that's the format. Like to me, the analogy I used was disliking a show because it has a laugh track is kind of like disliking a musical because it has songs. Like that's like the format. That's the That's what it is. Also, I think I sweat more than the average person, so there will be some sweat. Got up and left my computer for a minute. My mom was like, "Why are you watching a guy on a treadmill?" And what was your answer to that? Helps when it's actually a live audience like Friends. Yeah, I think most shows with laugh tracks are generally filmed in front of a live audience. Sometimes they do add in laugh tracks, especially on certain episodes which aren't filmed in front of an audience, but most of the time it is. I think there's a lot of people assume that these shows use canned laughter, like they're piping it in. It's not like actually what the audience was doing. And I think they did that like in the 60s, but I think they didn't really do that unless they literally didn't film the episode in front of an audience. I think most shows use the genuine audience sounds. I need to move this. Whoa. Okay. I need to move the chat box because like the microphone is like blocking my line of sight. There's a great show called Kevin Can F Himself. Yeah, I've seen that show. It is really good. I might do a video about it because it's like perhaps the most unique sitcom I've ever seen. To vicariously experience exercise, I guess that's better than nothing. I mean, it's cool to promote exercise, I guess, especially for people who are around my age. When you get a little bit older, you have less time and less energy to exercise, but you should still do it. You don't want to be like 50 and 60 years old and literally can't get up out of bed if you can help it. Maybe it's just because I grew up with laugh tracks. Yeah, I think it's definitely generation, nostalgia, what you grew up with. I kind of miss laugh tracks because they're kind of almost being phased out in terms of like popular sitcoms. It's not in fashion to use them anymore. I also think that there's like this association that not having a laugh track is like more cinematic, which I guess is true, but that doesn't mean it's like higher art or a better show. But like in the 90s, the only shows that didn't have laugh tracks were like the shows on like HBO, like like the Larry Sanders Show and Arliss and like Curb Your Enthusiasm, which I think a lot of people don't realize how old that show is. I think it started in like 2000 or something. And so I think people associated that sort of non-laugh track as like, oh, those are the premium shows. The greatest Canadian sitcom, Corner Gas, had never had a laugh track. I didn't like them because that's what I grew up with. Interesting. I never heard of that one. Question, why is the US holding the World Cup if they barely watch the sport? I mean, it's true that Americans don't watch a lot of soccer slash football. However, when the World Cup is happening, everybody watches it. Well, I won't say everybody, but people who like sports watch it. Even people who don't like sports watch it. Got to go. It's 3 a.m. here. Thanks for the videos. I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. Treadmill's takes a little bit of getting used to, because it doesn't, it just sits on the floor. It doesn't have any like rails or anything. So you gotta have good balance. You might like accidentally walk on the side of it or something. I would watch football if I watch sports in general. It's never been my thing. Yeah, football slash soccer. It's actually a pretty cool sport, honestly. I am a appreciator of sports. I have a profound respect for athletes. It's like, man, how do y'all even do that? They say that soccer players are the most physically fit when it comes to athletes, just because of the nature of their sport. They have to run pretty much nonstop, so they're all like super toned and conditioned. But you also have to have, like strength and agility, jumping, all kinds of stuff. And if you just look at soccer players, they're all like absolutely shredded for the most part. They all have like 2% body fat. I forgot to tag the Discord for my stream. Yeah, must be UK. It's 5 a.m. in South Africa. Is the UK closer to the US than South Africa is? I'm trying to picture the map in my head, but I'm not sure. It's about 9 p.m. where I'm at. I'd be worried about getting a compound fracture in my legs, like playing soccer. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but it's not the most injury-laden sport as far as I know. I think basketball players and American football players get injured way more. He fell down. No. I had to send out a tag to my Discord to let people know I was streaming. And also, I fully reserve the right to take a break if I want to. But I obviously don't want to be doing this all night, you know? They play 2 games per week. They're super fit, but they have delicate muscles. They get injured quick. South African is between Australia and South America. UK is probably closer. Interesting. I don't know, for some reason, the way I'm picturing the map, I don't know, maybe I need to look at a map. I always think it's cool when the viewers who are not from America show up. I don't have a lot of friends who are not American, so it's like I have a lot of curiosity about just what it's like to live somewhere else, because I haven't really visited anywhere else either as an adult. I'm just wondering, you know, is your country as fucked up as ours is? The worst time of year in Canada where I live isn't the winter, it's early spring. It melts at day and then freezes at night. So much ice. Interesting. Yeah, that does seem like it would be pretty obnoxious. See how quickly we got to 4K? Easy. I think one of the reasons why football is not popular is because companies can't push ads down your throat as easy like they can with the 4 major US sports. Yeah, for sure. That's absolutely part of it. I'm honestly surprised that we haven't well, I was gonna say I'm surprised we haven't created our own version of soccer, but we kind of have. It's called football. Like if you're an American who wants to follow soccer, you might have to pay for like ESPN 9 or something, but it's possible. I watched as many people did, I watched the Super Bowl. And I like the Super Bowl because it's like, it's usually like a display of like some really good athletes who are really good at what they do. But good Lord, the Super Bowl is literally like 90% commercials. It's like 90% commercials and 10% football. It's kind of wild. This is one of the disadvantages of having a lot of hair, is it kind of increases the heat around your face. Was there a good ad in the Super Bowl? I think so. Honestly though, I can't remember any of them, so maybe they weren't that good. There was that weird one where they put the singer seal's face onto the body of a seal, the animal. That was really strange. But I don't know, I feel like the commercials were okay. Nothing super memorable though. Honestly, I think the thing that everybody remembers about the Super Bowl was the halftime performance. Because even the game wasn't even that good. It was a blowout. Can y'all hear the treadmill, by the way? It's not super loud, but it does make noise. But the mic's not pointing at it, so it's probably not that loud. Maybe I should have wore a shirt where the sweat doesn't show. My roommate was sneaking to my room habitually and set my desktop back onto a seal with Seal's face for years. Is that a meme? Maybe that's a meme that I'm just unaware of. You can't hear it. Yeah, that makes sense. This mic is pretty good about only capturing what's in front of it. Oh no, I dropped my towel. Maybe I could if there weren't music. Is the music too loud? I turned it down earlier. Halfway done? Yeah, pretty much. Wait, does this mean that I can write off this treadmill as a business expense now? Holy shit. Genius. Music's fine, cool. How we feeling? Feeling good. Starting to sweat a little bit. That's how it works. Trust me, I'm a tax accountant and definitely not a liar. I mean, I'm using it as part of my job. Just want to let you know that I see you. You're amazing. Keep seeking and speaking truth as you find it. Thank you. I appreciate that. What's the most steps I think I've taken in a day? Like ever? Definitely. Whoa. Definitely something. I mean, I've walked like, I think 10,000 steps is what, maybe like 4 or 5 miles? And I've definitely walked like 15, 20 miles before in one day. So whatever that amounts to. It's not something that happens often. In fact, it probably only happened like once or twice. But when I used to live kind of downtown where all the businesses and bars and stuff were. But I didn't have a car at the time, so I would just walk everywhere. So, you know, I'd like walk to a friend's house that would be like a 10-minute drive in a car, but, you know, be like an hour walk. Or I just sometimes just be walking around town, you know, going from place to place. Should look for sponsors for treadmills. Well, I don't need another one. But hey, if they someone wants to send me one, that'd be good. What made me start this? I don't know. I just thought it would be interesting. I don't think I've seen this on a stream before either. I'm sure it's been done, but I wanted to get 10,000 steps. That was something I was going to do anyway. B, I wanted to stream. So I was like, hey, why don't I can do those things at the same time? Or at least I was like, maybe I can do those things at the same time. Took a little figuring out. It's not as straightforward as you might think. And then also, you know, it's good just to like promote exercise because it is an important thing that everyone should do. And you know, us content creators, we're always trying to think of what random content we can do that's unique or interesting. I don't know if this counts as interesting, but we're here. Have you ever gambled and or made a serious bet, hundreds to thousands wagered? Yeah. I used to play online poker pretty consistently, and I definitely have played poker for several hundreds of dollars. I don't think I've ever bet thousands. I never really had the finances to justify doing something like that. And I've gone to casinos many times, but when I go to casinos, I'm usually pretty good about managing my money and not gambling too much. I usually set a limit of like $100, and once that's gone, I just stop. So definitely the most that I've wagered would be playing poker online. This should be your new thing, just a guy on a treadmill talking about life and shit. If people want to watch that, I'll do it. Because like I said, I would like to get the steps in anyway. Might as well do it while streaming. We'll have to work out some kinks. I'll have to like elevate my monitor a little bit so I don't have to like look down the whole time. Try fasting in 10,000? I don't know. I'm not good at fasting. I like cannot even think straight if I'm hungry. Going on a walk on a nice day is one of life's oft underappreciated pleasures. I agree. Going on a walk is it's pretty cool. Very relaxing. How many miles is 10,000 steps? Yeah, about 4 or 5. It depends on how fast you're walking. But my treadmill tells me how fast I'm walking. I'm currently walking 2.4 miles per hour. And I have currently walked the equivalent of 2.4 miles because it's been about an hour. Never learned poker. I can only play 4-5 cards. I love poker, but online poker is of dubious legality in the United States now, so it's a little hard to participate in. Do I have a fan in here? There's a ceiling fan right there, you can see it. It's a little like too close to me though, so I'm kind of afraid to turn it on. I might turn it on for a little bit though. In fact, let's do that. Does anybody know the science of this? Whenever I work out, I start producing more static electricity and I get shocked when I touch metal. Why does that happen? Does anybody know the science of that? Is that a common thing? Is that like common knowledge? Just like if y'all see me like throw my hands up or something, scream at me. Because that's like the only way that I'll touch that. You related to D Wade respectfully. I appreciate the respectfully, as if that's like a legitimate thing to ask. But yeah, I get that a lot, that I apparently look like Dwayne Wade. I don't necessarily see it, but I've gotten it often enough that I guess there's something to it. 2.4 is slow. Maybe. I don't want to go too fast because then it will be hard for me to like talk and breathe. Let's see, 5 miles an hour. Nah. I'll do 5 miles an hour for a donation. I wonder if this thing can even go 5 miles an hour. I probably would have to run if I go that fast. I've done pretty well at Balatro. Balatro is really good, but being good at Balatro is not going to make you good at like regular poker. Definitely two different games, but Balatro is a very, very good game. I love it. I've been playing it a lot lately. Doesn't static electricity build up more with friction as you're moving around? I mean, that makes sense. I don't know for sure though. Does that just build up like in your whole entire body? Your treadmill is probably rubbing against the carpet. Maybe. Have you ever walked to work or school for your normal commute? Yep, that's what I used to do when I lived downtown. Because your body gets moist, water, and electricity. I feel like there were like 3 different answers to the question. Funnily enough, scientists are still not sure why we build up static exactly. Like, it's clear that electrons are collecting, but the exact mechanics are not nailed down. Interesting. I bought Balatro less than 2 weeks before it got put on Game Pass, but honestly, it's so good they deserve the money. Yeah, I actually bought Balatro in a bundle with Slay the Spire, which is also a very good game. But yeah, I got a good deal on both of them. People get shocked more when it's cold. Is that right? Because when it's cold, it's dry. I mean, all of that might as well be true, I guess. But yeah, I just noticed that recently. I get shocked pretty much every time I work out. Obesity in the US is probably due to lack of walkable cities with public transportation. That's probably a contributing factor, but it's definitely not the only factor. think American culture just kind of doesn't really value nutrition that much. Also, I think, well, I don't know this for sure, but it seems like Americans are like more stressed out than other people. I could be wrong about that, but that doesn't help either. Is this an Ask Me Anything? Sure. What are your favorite children's books? Teacher here. I'm building my classroom library. Children's books? Well, one of my favorite books of all time, children or not, is A Wrinkle in Time, which is a children's book, but that book's amazing. I don't know if you mean novels or if you mean like legit, you know, like pre-K picture books. Trying to even remember what books I liked as a kid. You know, there's the classics. There's like Where the Wild Things Are, great book. Animorphs was really popular. I never really got into Animorphs though. Picture books. You know, one of my favorite picture books of all time is the monster at the end of this book, the Sesame Street book with Grover. That shit is goated. And you know, I read like same things a lot of other people my age and even younger, you know, like Berenstain Bears and you know, Dr. Seuss and all that. I mean, I love Dr. Seuss, but it seems like that's an obvious answer. I'd put more weight on us just being kind of depressed. Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Too much chemicals in American foods, compare nutrients on American packages in other countries, you'll be shocked. Yeah, that's kind of what I meant. We don't really value nutrition. And our government doesn't force companies to make the food at least semi-healthy. Artemis Fowl and Bionicle. I never read any of those. I think the idea of organic food is probably only an American thing. Well, that's the thing about organic food. Organic does not mean healthy. It's all a marketing scheme, which is a very American way of going about things. Where the Sidewalk Ends, yeah. That book makes a ton of top 10 lists. The monster at the end of the book. Yeah, isn't it like an award-winning book? For what it's worth, obesity is on the rise everywhere, but in the US, food deserts and a lack of time to cook are huge contributors. Yeah, for sure. I don't want to speak too confidently because I don't really know the situation in other countries. But it is really hard to be fit and healthy if you are broke. Like, quite hard. Because, you know, Whole Foods and non-processed foods is just more expensive. So it's hard to justify the cost sometimes. back in the day, I used to eat microwave burritos. You know those little microwave chimichanga things? I used to eat that every day because you could get a pack of like 8 of them for $3. And you really couldn't beat that. So that was like my dinner almost every day for like a good year. Obviously not the most healthy thing to eat. You should check out We're in a Book. Never heard of that one. Yeah, I don't really remember a lot of the books that I read. Besides, you know, the obvious ones like Dr. Seuss, Hop on Pop, One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish. That's probably my favorite one. I do want to give a shout out to the Goosebumps series. Sideways Stories from Wayside School. I don't know that one. I mean, Harry Potter is a children's book, right? I don't know if we're allowed to talk about Harry Potter anymore. There was a, what was it called? I don't know, there's a book that I really liked. I can't remember what it was actually called. I probably still have some of the old books, old children's books somewhere. It might be at my mom's house. Or maybe she gave them away. Actually, I think my mom gave away all of her old books. What do you think is the best way to deter young black youth away from red pill content? That's a tough one. I don't exactly know the answer. I mean, the only thing that I can think of is to provide a compelling alternative. And that's got to be part of the solution, but I don't know if that's enough on its own. I've been thinking about this recently. I've always said that the best counter to bad ideas is good ideas, but I don't even know if that's true. Because the thing about it is, if you want to spread a bad idea, you can just say whatever you want. You don't have to be honest. It doesn't have to make sense. All you have to do is say the thing that your target audience wants to hear. And it's very hard to compete with that. So I'm not sure. I've talked about this before, but luckily for me, I'm old enough to where when I was the age of the people that get into that kind of thing, that didn't exist really. What did exist was the pickup artist / seduction community, which is kind of like a junior version of the red pill community. But for me, the only thing that got me out of that mindset was just, well, part of it was, you know, getting a wake-up call from people around me, but you can't really expect that to happen with everyone. But for me, eventually people just get sick of your shit. Like the women around you, when you have these like negative attitudes and these bad ideas and these, you know, misogynistic ideas about how to interact with women, people eventually get sick of your shit and they let you know, or they just like, you know, they stop talking to you. And that's kind of, in a nutshell, what made me start to like reconsider. But you know, we can't like wish that upon people, you know, so I don't know. $500 book minimum for classroom libraries. Interesting. That's a lot of books. $69 steps. I talked with a guy who posted some red pill stuff. I ended up just saying that I felt sorry for him. He needed help, but I'm not able to help him. Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's all you can say, but that also probably didn't help the situation either. But that, I mean, that's a big problem. That's a huge problem in our society, is that there are not a lot of resources. See, I just got shocked again. What the fuck? But there's not a lot of resources or role models for young men that talk about this kind of stuff in like a realistic and compassionate way. You know, I think that's a huge mistake that progressive and left-leaning movements have done over the years, is alienating men, especially young men, spending so much time, you know, calling men trash and making it seem like men's problems are less important than other people's problems. That was a huge miss on the part of certain progressive movements. And I think that's why a lot of these people have turned to these red pill groups and incel groups and other right-wing type of groups. Because, you know, most of these groups do sort of have a right-wing sort of basis. I used to just be a nice guy. Nobody let me know that I suck, but luckily found my way out anyway. They really need good friends, but that's a catch-22. Yeah, that's why I feel lucky. So I had like people kind of call me out. And also just I had, you know, positive friends and role models that I could look to. I was a piece of shit until I accidentally saw Khadijah and Bo's YouTube. Yeah. Being exposed to good ideas can help. You know, my one of, you know, the video that I made that put me on the map is the video "You're Probably Not Really a Nice Guy." And I still get messages to this day from people saying, you know, I watched that video and it really made me rethink how I act and rethink the whole like idea of the friend zone and stuff. It's not my job to educate you. I know why people defaulted to that phrase, but it's so toxic for trying to actually build common ground with people who already feel isolated. I agree. Yeah, I mean, our issue in general, and I don't really want to get too political, but the fact that everything is a culture war, everything is us versus them, rather than trying to find compassion for other human beings on every side, not just one side. But that's a huge problem. And I think we're screwed as long as that's the case. As long as it's all about destroying your enemies instead of trying to find a way to come together, I think we're just screwed as a species. And it's not all our fault. You know, we're influenced by pundits and politicians and people who say the nice things that we want to hear and get us all riled up and get us in groups. So it's not like all our fault, but you know, we should all be doing better, in my opinion. Altering your kid's algorithm might actually help. Just search things on their search bar when they aren't looking. Yeah, I don't have kids, and I used to be like really anti parents invading their kids' privacy. But I don't agree with that anymore. Be in your kids' business at all times. Be aware of what they're consuming. And again, this is coming from someone who does not and never had kids, so I truly don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but that's my current opinion. I have no idea how I went from being an insufferable libertarian rightoid femcel to a decent person. I wish I knew so I could suggest it. Yeah. I think for me, A, it was people calling me out, and B, it was just like learning stuff. Just talking to people, researching things, looking things up. If you value being correct and you value like knowing what you're talking about, which is something that I value, you start to learn some stuff. And I feel like if once you start to learn some stuff, then it becomes very easily clear like how much bullshit there is out there. I think the problem with lefties combating red pill advice is that left-wingers sometimes try to give advice that is altruistic, which doesn't always lead to result in the real world. I guess I see what you mean. You have to be grounded in reality, and you have to meet people where they're at, I think. Like people who join red pill communities or like pickup artist communities, these are like men, they're like straight men who want to get dates and want to get laid. And there's nothing really wrong with that on the surface. But I think certain groups make men feel bad for even wanting those things. Almost 7,500 in an hour. Yep. About 7,800 now, about an hour and 20 in. The internet is so dangerous in modern age, I kind of feel like you have no choice but to be in their online business. Yeah, that's what I think. It's rough. There's so many things as a species that aren't well equipped to deal with the world now. I remember Behind the Bastards talking about a study. People kind of want hierarchy and people to tell them what to do. Yeah. But for real, IRL group meets, clubs, making those things, if you can't find them, 4chan and everyday feminism, ideas both melt down when you're hanging out at Robot Club with real people. Yeah. I do think people should find a way to interact with other humans IRL if you can. It's completely different than talking to people on the internet. If you only talk to people on the internet, you probably have a pretty warped idea of how humans are. I'm not saying it's like the internet is fake, but it's definitely a kind of a altered, like, bizarro version of the real world. But I do think a lot of the internet sort of culture is spilling out into the real world a little bit. But in general, when you go out into the real world, most people are nice. Truly. 99% of people are nice. At least polite, I'll say. Maybe if you start a certain conversation about a certain thing, things could get a little heated. But people don't, come out the gates with hostility like they do on the internet sometimes. Which allows you a better opportunity to like empathize with them and recognize that they're just another person trying to figure this shit out. Two-party system is the issue for you guys. Two choices aren't really choices. Politics shouldn't be Raw versus SmackDown. I mean, that's definitely part of the problem, for sure. But another part of the problem is that we fall for it. We like willingly participate in it. One party will tell you, hey, immigrants are stealing your job. There's the onus on you to think critically for yourself and be like, is that true? Like, it's important for me to know if that's actually true before I just blindly believe something just because they said it. But unfortunately, kind of as someone already said in the chat, the human brain, we look for easy answers. We don't want to have to think. And we're all included. I'm not like pointing out just one type of person. We're all like that. But that's why we have to do our due diligence. We have to take the initiative to try and figure out when we're being lied to. But we've kind of failed at that in this country on all sides. I would obviously argue that one side is worse, much worse, but that's where we're at right now. Yeah, people don't change their mind because of facts. That's extremely rare that anyone can do that. Yeah, I mean, you have to value. Like I said, you have to value being correct. Some people just don't care. Or people just want certain things to be true. Like, I think it was Sam Harris that said, there are people who think wanting something to be true is a good enough replacement for evidence that it is true. That's a very dangerous way of thinking. Because then you can just believe anything you want. But I don't know, lately, obviously, I've been like very flabbergasted at what's going on in American politics. It is hard to believe that this shit is real. And not only that it's real, but that there are still like millions of people who look at this shit and are like, yeah, this is fine. This is what I want. We're making you have tough conversations when you're already putting yourself to work. Yeah. It's fine. Like I said, I'm not trying to get too political. But, you know, I don't mind talking about stuff. I always try to think about, you know, because obviously I don't really make political videos anymore. And I go back and forth with how political do I want to be online? Because basically my position is that talking about politics on the internet doesn't work. However, not talking about politics is probably not a good idea either. Especially at a time like now. Like, I think being loud and voicing your opinions, you know, voicing your evidence and compassion-based opinions is like kind of necessary. You can't just like watch dumb shit happen and not say anything. I don't think that's the correct thing to do. But I also don't feel like dealing with a bunch of nonsense online, so I'm still trying to figure that out. I think the question we need to ask is what will actually help. I don't think the answer involves what we think it'll involve. Yeah. I think we just have to, you know, get the wins where we can get them. You know? You know, show up to your local city council meetings and make some noise, you know? Do stuff like that. The example that I saw in a video is the progress that was made in the gay community. How the gay community has like pretty much yelled and screamed and fought for like the past few decades and have made so much progress. And you know that wasn't easy for those activists and community members to do. Some of them probably were harmed because of it, but they got what they got by resisting, you know? And that's a good example because, you know, we're like old enough to like actually have seen it. But yeah, I mean, as for like what specifically do you do? That's what we all got to figure out, I guess. Shout out not having a car and getting 10,000 steps, naturally living life. Yeah, that's what's up. That definitely is not my situation. If I don't force myself to get up, I will literally sit at this desk right here and not get up all day. The reason US acts like it does mainly is because everyone trades with the dollar. You guys would never have an economic crash alone. I mean, the influence that the US has on the world economy is kind of scary also. I think there's a difference between didactic video essays and talking, discussing stuff. I loved your political essays and followed you for them, but nobody watches video essays to be convinced. Yeah. Yeah, that was another part of it for me too. I'm not really super interested in just preaching to the choir. I guess that's a good way to like make a living, but it's not that interesting to me. And also the problem with that is if you sort of have this audience of, I was gonna say sycophants, but that's kind of derogatory. But you just have this audience of people who come expecting to hear the gospel from you and agree with everything you say. That's a treacherous situation to be in, because you could say one wrong thing and lose your entire audience. Which, obviously I've never lost my entire audience, but I have lost large chunks of my audience many times in the past. Like when Trump came on the scene, I started making a lot more videos, like anti-Trump videos and left-leaning sort of social justice videos. And I lost a lot of people who were more on the reactionary, sort of what you would call anti-woke now. Because, I've made a lot of videos criticizing the left. And so I got a lot of anti-left people in my audience. But it became more important to me to make videos about pro-social justice videos, and that like alienated a lot of people. And then after that, during the rise of BreadTube, whatever the hell that is, and during the rise of the sort of anti-capitalist tube, I lost a lot of those people because a lot of the people who were in my audience either were or had become socialists or hardcore anti-capitalists. And once they found out that I was not particularly a socialist, they were like, oh, can't follow this guy anymore. So I lost a lot of people that way. And that's kind of annoying. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I stopped making political videos. One of the many reasons. One win, no one was slapped at the Oscars this year. I guess that's good. I didn't watch the Oscars. Glad you put in work though. My girl's the same way, not being super active. She wants to lose weight and does go to the gym, but alienates between being motivated and hopeless. Yeah, it can be hard. It's very hard. I follow a lot of fitness YouTubers and other influencers. And I feel like some of them sell the idea that getting in shape is easy. And that's just a lie. Especially if it's not something you're used to doing, it's not easy at all. It's like one of the hardest things you'll ever do. And I think people should be more honest about that. I actually think video essays help. People assume those who watch video essays are highly educated. I learn a lot from them. I mean, yeah, I have no issue with video essays. I think there are a lot of great video essays. There are a lot of mediocre video essays too, though. I've made some of them. The concept of BreadTube really did a lot of damage to the idea that YouTube was a discursive space. It really made it seem like a signaling space. Oh yeah. I don't even know if I would. I just don't think political discourse is like a thing on the internet. I can't think of like, well, that's not true. Every once in a blue moon, I will find like a genuinely interesting conversation, but usually that's not what you get. Usually it is a lot of signaling, or just like people trying to dunk on each other, or people just, you know, roasting and being mean-spirited and stuff like that. I'm not 100% sold on socialism, mainly because no one can seem to agree on what that even is exactly. Yeah, you'll get different answers when you ask different people how that's going to work. I mean, honestly, I just think there's a lot of people who acknowledge that whatever it is that we're doing, especially in America, is not working. And that's kind of their starting point. And I think there's a lot of people that really haven't thought that much about it beyond that. But obviously there's like socialist scholars and academics and stuff. But especially the older I get, I am dubious about the idea of getting economic theory from some random kid on YouTube or Twitch. That's a very dubious prospect in my opinion. Getting shape for her is like being focused. For me, it's very simple but extremely difficult. Yeah, it's hard. It's not complicated, but it's hard. I mean, all you have to do is eat less food or eat healthier food and be active. It's not rocket science, but actually making yourself do it, if it's not something you normally do, is very, very hard. I loved running until COVID. I stopped going for years and now I hate it and have to force myself into it. Yeah. Yeah, as with most things, it gets easier the more you do it. However, wait a second. However, I don't know. I've been exercising for a few years and I still hate it. So this treadmill automatically cuts off after 99 minutes. I think it's literally because there's a display on it and the display can't go higher than 99. So it just cuts off, which is hilarious. But I still got 400 more steps to go, so I got to turn it back on. Fitness instructors that say that getting in shape is easy, like Bob Ross says that painting is easy. Do you think painting is as easy as he makes it look? It's definitely not. But like with anything else, maybe if you use the right strategy, it can be easier. Like for me, doing these 10,000 steps has been a breeze because my mind has been occupied talking to you all. If I was just sitting here trying to do it in silence, I probably wouldn't even feel like doing it. So you got to find little hacks. At least I do. That's how my brain works. I have to like trick my brain into doing the correct thing. I wonder how many fitness influencers internalize the idea that being healthy is a choice and have little to no understanding of how socioeconomic factors play a role. Yeah, it's probably unhelpful to say that it's a choice. But ultimately it is. You have to do the best you've got with the hand you've been dealt, really. But it's probably unhelpful to just say that with no context, you know? Because I do think that exercise is like very, very important. Like, honestly, it's, to me, it's like non-negotiable. It's like you have to. Like, to me, I think of exercise as like in the same category as like showering and brushing your teeth. Just like shit that you shouldn't skip. Wait till it gets to 10K. It does a little animation. It's pretty cute. A lot of political content online is the Dunning-Kruger effect being demonstrated in real time. I absolutely agree with that. And it's worse when you're a content creator with an audience, because your audience validates you and makes you think that you're so smart. Because that was another thing with me. I had to really sit back and be like, truly, I'm just some guy. There's no particular reason why you should listen to me. I'm just another guy. I mean, obviously I try to say good things, but home stretch. 10K, we did it. I know I'm kind of on a roll, but I will stop. Woo! That's 10K. And it went by super fast. According to my app, I walked 4.59 miles. I burned 622 calories. And it took 1 hour and 42 minutes of walking time. Yeah, did you not see the little fireworks animation it did? My New Year's resolution is to talk less and listen more in political spaces and be intentional with what I say and who I say it to. I love that. I've been trying to do that. And that's one of the reasons why I had to sort of take a step back from politics. Because it's hard to like think straight when there's so much noise. How many miles? 4.59 miles according to my app. At a pace of 2.4, roughly 2.44 miles an hour. I took a couple of short breaks, but the breaks were no more than like 10 seconds apiece. Let me catch my breath here. I'll probably, well, we'll stream for, 10, 15 more minutes. Has the same guy been asking how many miles it would be? I don't know. If so, that would be a pretty funny troll. I hadn't really paid attention, I guess. When my mind is sort of multitasking like this is probably the best time to prank me like that by just making me answer the same question over and over again. But I honestly don't mind answering questions over again. I think maybe some streamers get like pissed off when they have to re-answer the same questions, which is like, seems a bit weird. It's like they don't know that you haven't answered it yet. Just chill. I'm on a couple commissions for my city, and it's been really eye-opening seeing how decisions get made and how little the loudest voices accomplish. Interesting. I've been wanting to get more involved in local politics, but I really haven't done it. It's a problem, is like everything just requires so much effort. Why can't the world just be good already? Well, I thought that this would be a cool little idea. I don't know if that was actually that interesting to watch, but at least I got some exercise in. Burned 620 calories. That's like a full meal. Although I don't think these calorie counters are ever accurate, honestly. See if your city council has a virtual meeting. A lot of them still do. That's actually a really good idea. I follow the Facebook group for my local city council, and they like live stream their meetings sometimes, but it's not like a interactive participatory stream as far as I know. But they might have something. I need to check. You like this a lot? Cool. You should do this again on a day you don't want to exercise. Yeah, I mean, it's good for me because it helps me knock out some exercise while also interacting with the chat, which to me feels productive. And like I said, like I barely notice the time going by because my mind is kind of focused on the chat. So it's a very good setup for me. They put their minutes up online so you can see what they're up to, so you can decide if you need to show up. Yeah. Finding one or two aspects of politics to focus on and increase your knowledge in those areas and find community in a shorter time than you think. In a shorter time, you think you can become a voice that those in power listen to. I also agree with that. Yeah. I think that most people probably are underinformed, even people who are like in politics. So if you like become an informed person, that really, not only does it just open up your perspective, but it just makes you more able to talk about these issues. But yeah, I'll figure something like that out. I've been thinking about maybe like doing light political conversations, maybe on another channel. But yeah, I'm not trying to get deep into the political space, because every time it's like I think it'll be fine, and then those comments start coming in, and like, oh, this is why I don't do this. I'm underinformed in a lot of ways, and I used to try to become an expert in everything, but I mean, I had little depth in anything. Yeah, I know the feeling. When I was making politics videos, I guess my specialization, you could say, was racial politics. And I felt very informed about racial politics at the time. I kind of feel underinformed about it now. But when it comes to other things, I felt very out of my element. Like feminism was a big thing that everyone was talking about for a while, but I didn't really talk about it that much because it wasn't really my area of expertise. Like I don't really know that much about feminism or the history of feminism or feminist theory. But that was, people kind of used feminism as like the stand-in for left-wing politics for a while. I think it's a good idea to take a break from the news every now and then, especially these days. Absolutely it is. That's something that I have changed my mind on over the past few years. I used to think it was like super important to be informed of everything that was going on and to be aware of all the news. But I hard disagree with that now. Take a break. I promise it's fine. There's no test, you know? They're not going to show up at your house with an exam and telling you to recall everything that happened in the last week of news. And honestly, half the shit that happens, people stop talking about like 2 days after it happens. So you don't even miss that many things. It's also good to get your thoughts on children's books. You don't always have to be political. Oh yeah, I mean, in these streams, I usually just follow what the chat wants to talk about, and we just kind of got on this political tip. But it's not that big a deal. I truly don't mind it. The only way that I will start minding it is if it starts getting weird or combative, or people being rude to each other and things like that. As long as that's not happening, I don't really care. And if you want to talk about something else, then you can just ask a different question. That's fine. I will sometimes watch Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers every now and then in order to relax. I love Sesame Street so much. And Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers is like, he's got to be like top 5 greatest human beings of all time, right? Top 10 at least. Have you always been wanting to work out, or are you just starting? If you have always, how have you kept your motivation? I definitely have not always. I generally, throughout my life, I have gone through phases where I'll work out, you know, for months, and then I'll just stop for a few months, work out for a year, then stop for a year. But the past few years, I have been, I'll say like the past 2 years, I've been much more consistent with it. And in terms of motivation is a trap. If you spend your life looking for motivation, you are not going to get a lot done. Or at least that's what I've come to believe. I think motivation is kind of bullshit. You just gotta do it. You have to learn how to do stuff when you don't feel like doing it. I think that's like the key, not even just for exercising, but just for almost everything in life. That's kind of the challenge of life, is learning. If you get good at doing stuff that you don't feel like doing, you become a superhero. And I'm not saying I'm an expert at it. In fact, I'm probably pretty bad at it. But that's the secret. And the way that you get good at doing stuff you don't feel like doing is just it. I guess it's easier said than done, and it sounds a little bit glib, but you just start. You just do it. Because usually if you start doing something, you'll finish it, or at least you'll do some of it. But actually starting, that's the hard part. And there's a lot of, we could talk about this particular topic for hours. There's a lot of things that can help you get started with things that you don't want to do. Like for me, I wanted to stream. That's something that I wanted to do. So by combining something I wanted to do with something that I didn't really feel like doing, I was able to do it pretty easily. So that's one way you can do it. Another way is gamifying it. Like, I like to watch this number go up. So that kind of made me more interested in doing the thing, because it was just the tiniest dopamine hit, just watching the number go up. So stuff like that. Do you think Bill Burr is becoming this generation's George Carlin? That's what at least everyone's been saying. Kinda. I feel like Bill Burr is not like George Carlin was kind of this like weird nihilist philosopher. I don't really see Bill Burr that way. I think Bill Burr is just funny. Like, he says stuff that people like relate to and think is real, but I don't think he's really trying to get you to believe anything. I think he's just telling jokes. I think George Carlin was kind of doing more than just telling jokes. I don't know that Bill Burr is, personally. PBS is under threat due to Trump. Yeah, a lot of things are under threat due to Trump. Learning to work for myself when I don't want to is really difficult when I don't have a traditional boss, but I'm slowly learning. Yeah, as you might imagine, I know that feel. I also don't have a traditional boss. For anyone that wants to get better at building good habits, I recommend the book Atomic Habits. I think the author is James Clear. I might be getting that confused. But that book is absolute game changer in my opinion. Just kind of gives you like a little step-by-step roadmap in like different ways that you can not only like build good habits, but break bad ones. And it's not like your typical hokey self-help stuff. It's like actually like evidence-based and well written. But yeah, it's a great book. But I accomplished my goal of 10,000 steps. Again, if you guys like this kind of thing, I can do it more, because I want to get a step goal every day. I've been pretty good about it. I didn't walk at all this past weekend, but I've done pretty good with it. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream here. Thanks for everybody for stopping by. Be on the lookout. I got a new video coming out very soon. And I will try to stream at least, maybe again this week, but at the very least next week. I'm trying to get back to once a week. Usually it's going to be on Mondays. But that's about it. Thanks everybody for stopping by, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.